Is HPA expensive? That's the question I'm going to try and answer for you guys today. As you all know, my channel really revolves around HPA in Nerf. I've made countless videos and countless builds out of HPA and LPA. A very common question I get asked is, how hard is HPA to get into and is it expensive? I usually say yes, it is expensive. But I say this because everyone else says it. It's usually what I personally see online and what I've come to think after buying everything. However, I never really budgeted and kind of found out how much other blasters really were compared to HPA. And for science and a little bit of a personal quest, I wanted to find out if HPA was really expensive compared to the other forms of blasting, such as flywheeling and springer blasters. So with that small intro out of the way, let's get into it. Before I start this video, I want to state that I am in no way hating or demoralizing any of the blasters, blaster makers, or users of the blasters I include in this video. I wanted to make this video and to do this research to see whether HPA was in fact expensive compared to other facets of Nerf, or had become a common wives' tale within the Nerf community. I also want to take public fear, form factor, and sound out of the equation for HPA. Any blaster can look scary. Paint a vector Stryfe black and you'll see why. I will also say that yes, I know myself that HPA is pricey to get into, and I hope my research can shine a new light on the subject. I have gathered all these prices in USD values and converted to AUD as well. I will be covering three main categories: springers, flywheels, and HPA/air blasters. To give a fair comparison, I will list the parts that each blaster needs to function properly and have enough power to compete in the Nerf current meta. I will also be budgeting around the best parts on the market for each particular blaster. I did this as more and more Nerfers are buying high-end gear. This also shows that high-end builds from other propulsion types can be expensive. I will not be including painting blasters or tactical gear such as sights and grips. There are always more upgrades and parts to buy for your blasters. Let's also theoretically say that we are running the same clips and dart type in all of these blasters, so we don't complicate things too much and inflate the prices based on dart type. Each of these blasters are capable of running the same clips as each other with adapters and modification. This also does not take tools and time into account. This is a rough experiment, but a good base to look at. With that said, I gathered all this information on the 16th of December 2018 with a USD to AUD conversion rate of $1 Australian buying 72 US cents. I have linked all the gameplay and creators showcased in this video in the description and in the top corner card section. Please check them out, and a big thank you to them for lending gameplay. Let's start with springers, a great entry-level high-performance blaster that can fire very accurate and hit hard. The two mainstream and meta springer blasters used currently are the Longshot/XZeus 2 and the Caliburn made by Captain Slug. To kick things off, here's the XZeus 2 or Longshot build. The build I went for consists of an XZeus 2 shell, the Jet Omega kit, Blaster Tech Scar, and a 16 kg turf spring, coming to a total of 372 AUD or 268 USD, with velocities expected to be around 240 to 200 FPS. Next, the Caliburn. For this build, I chose to add on cosmetics and blaster enhancing features Captain Slug offers, as I have seen multiple blasters rocking this gear. The build includes a regular Caliburn, 4 enhancements including adjustable stock, thumbhole stock, scar barrels, and a front grip. I also included Drax tooth and nail kit, altogether costing 286 USD and 398 AUD. You can expect with a K25 spring to be hitting around the 250 FPS mark. Onto flywheels now. Flywheel blasters have come a long way and are by far the favourite choice among the super stock level of Nerfers. Most, if not all, meta flywheel builds run on Lipo batteries. This is a factor in cost flywheel blasters need to even function. For the blasters I will examine, I will include a requirements tag that includes a 3S 2.2 amp 45C Turnigy graphene lipo to get a full day's worth of play, as well as an AccuCell S60 Lipo charger to reliably charge and store your batteries. Both are from Hobby King and come to 89 AUD or 62 USD. This sum will be added into the totals for each build. First up for this experimentation is the FDL3. Not many things were needed for this purchase, as the FDL is a pre-built brushless flywheel blaster. So for this build I needed an FDL3 blaster and the blaster requirements, and that's it. Coming to a total of 657 AUD or 471 USD. The blaster is highly tunable and you can adjust between full, semi and burst fire modes, as well as having a range of 100 FPS to 200 FPS. Pretty impressive. Now onto everybody's favourite, the Stryfe and Rapidstrike. These two blasters pretty much perform the same and take the exact same parts as each other. Both can be full auto and use the same flywheel cages, so onto the build. First up, the blaster, RS or Stryfe, $50 Australian price. Metal flywheel cages usually go for about $70 depending on where you're getting your cage from, whether it's a worker, low-end cage or an Eclipse cage. I'll meet in the middle and go $70. Flywheels at a pair of 30 for a nice high-end pair. Switches, wire and connectors for a group average of $40. For a high-end pair of 180 motors such as the Kronos 2 motors, they will set you back about $20. Include our flywheel requirements of $86 to a total of 296 AUD, costing 115 USD to build. A build like this will be hitting around 130 FPS to high 180s. It all depends on cage, motor and flywheel setup. So, onto why you came here, to see if HPA is actually expensive. HPA is looked at as the big bad brother of Nerf, that can fire darts as fast and as rapid as we wish. So for this last category, I have done it a little bit differently. Firstly, we will look at how much it costs to build a HPA/LPA blaster, then compare prices between an LPA setup or a HPA setup. So, onto the blaster. Like the other builds, I have budgeted and listed the parts to have a properly functioning HPA/LPA blaster. Let's kick things off with the blaster. Now a HPA build can fit in just about anything from a fire strike to a long strike. So I'm listing the blaster shell at $30 Australian, as a second-hand long shot or long strike will set you back at around about that price. We'll need an MV-J03 valve, a Specs BZ tank, a roundup of all push fits, airlines and connectors, 3 tubes of brass, 2 17/32 lengths and 1 9/16 length to properly build a breech and barrel system, as well as a Blaster Tech scar to get our darts flying straight. Altogether, after budgeting a HPA ready blaster, costed 189 Australian dollars and 143 USD. This setup can pretty much go in any blaster, as it is pretty much a drop-in system in any shell you want. HPA/LPA blasters also have some requirements depending on the setup. I have included them here and will be added to our final price like we previously did with flywheels. To get your bottle pumped up without using a big shoebox compressor, a high pressure hand pump to fill a HPA bottle. Dean from Blaster Tech swears by this little guy. It takes about 20 minutes of continuous pumping to fill your bottle to 1000 PSI. Combine this with a morning workout and you can fill your bottle up and have awesome biceps as well. I'm yet to pick one up, but these cost 87 Australian or 63 US. To use air blasters, you'll need an airline running from your source to your blaster. I budgeted up a $30 airline, fittings and all, to easily hold our pressures we will be using. This converts to roughly 22 USD. Compressors also need power to run them. I will use the same LiPo setup as we used calculating our flywheel requirements to power the compressor at 87 AUD or 62 USD. Time for the interesting stuff, air sources. I'll be doing 2 different types, like mentioned, LPA and HPA. Let's start with LPA. For the LPA build, I'll be using my compressor build as an example. The parts you need are a 12 volt compressor, a couple fittings, a regulator, an electrical cutoff valve switch, as well as a LiPo, like our requirements said. A simple charging LPA compressor build will cost you roughly 184 AUD or 132 USD. The compressor I used for this build is quite expensive. You can find these compressors a little cheaper if you look around. However, this is the one that is most readily available. On to the big boys now, the HPA bottle. I have chosen parts and products I personally use and will easily get you a full day of play. So, let's go. To start off, we need a Ninja carbon fiber 4500 psi tank with a 300 psi outlet pressure SLP regulator, a Ninja universal fill adapter, a Norgren R72G 2AK RMG second stage regulator, 300 psi inlet to 150 psi outlet, with fittings and connectors, coming to a grand total of 367 AUD or 263 USD. This tank build is very robust and a future-proof build. It's perfect for Nerf applications. I use this exact same setup, just with a different looking bottle. So let's add our findings together, starting with LPA, ready to use. This includes our compressor with requirements, the blaster, and the airline requirement. For an off-the-shelf ready LPA build, it will cost you 403 AUD or 202 USD. This is the cheaper option and is 31 AUD more expensive than an XZeus 2 build, like we discussed at the start of the video. Let's now budget our HPA build. We need our blaster, bottle rig setup, airline and hand pump requirements. These three bring us to a total of 673 AUD or 484 USD. A HPA ready built bottle, blaster and requirements are slightly higher than an FDL3 by 16 AUD or 11 USD. This setup gets you the exact same performance as a compressor but without the charge delay, with instant filling, and also sets you up future ready for any semi-auto or full auto builds. The compressor and bottle will work in any air blaster you build, as long as you have the same connector and fittings. So there you go, an overview and a roundup of all the current meta blasters compared to HPA in price and velocity. There are many other things to evaluate and decide on when choosing a blaster. However, I think this video has done its job well. I somewhat lifted the wives' tale on HPA and showed you that any high-end blaster build, whether it's a Flywheel blaster or Springer, such as the one listed in this video, can and will get very expensive. I'm not going to compare price or functions about each blaster. It comes down to your personal flavour and play style. But if I were new to Nerf and thinking about what I should dive into, it would definitely be an LPA compressor build for sure. So to answer my question, is Nerf HPA expensive? I would say yes, it's expensive, but goddamn worth it in the long run. That's it for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a little bit of a different video, but I thought this video could be really educational and give you guys a bit more information about Nerf HPA. If you guys want to catch up with me when I'm not making videos, check out my Facebook, Instagram, and Discord links in the description, and I'll see you guys in the next one.